heard them sing, he paid the price and Jesus bore it all. I've heard them sing, I'm coming home, and heed the master's call. I've heard them sing the modern songs and songs of long ago. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. No sweeter song, sweeter song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. It was the song my mother sang in sweet and humble voice. Like music from the world above, it made my soul rejoice. Its soothing words and melodies like the rippling waters flow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. Sweeter song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. Sweeter song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. The sweetest, most wonderful song I know. I've heard them sing, he paid the price and Jesus bore it all. I've heard them sing, I'm coming home, and heed the master's call. I've heard them sing the modern songs and songs of long ago. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. No sweeter song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. It was the song my mother sang in sweet and humble voice. Like music from the world above, it made my soul rejoice. Its soothing words and melodies like the rippling waters flow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. Sweeter song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. Sweeter song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. The sweetest, most wonderful song I know.
And welcome to Dove on the window. I am your host, Pastor Wendell. I'm your host, Pastor Wendell Jeffrey, here with my dear wife, Sister Jeffrey. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm wonderful.
Technology. All right.
A pleasant good evening to all of you out there in TV land. I trust you had an awesome day. We are hoping to have a wonderful time this evening. Talking about parenting styles.
Parenting styles.
Yeah,
We can have a good time.
Yep.
We're going to have a good time. Let's say a prayer before we begin, shall we? Father in heaven, we thank you for the experience of another day. We thank you for your love and your mercies extended to us. As we spend some time this evening sharing, discussing, reminding ourselves, projecting, listening to the callers and their advice and suggestion, we ask, oh Holy God, that interact with your spouse. That is a recipe for disaster. So if you wanna call in and talk about that, the numbers are on the screen. You can call, and we will want to, we'll share with you. So I'm gonna ask my technician if he can come again. He showed me what to do, and he told me everything I need to do in order to see what you're seeing by way of the Facebook, so we can answer your questions. And I am not that inclined, and so I'm not getting it. And I think that we have lost our Facebook people too. So Dominique, I'm going to ask you to do your thing, and I think that we have a freeze. Some message. There we go. We've lost our Facebook folks. All right. So we'll work through the kinks. Okay. So let's go. The aim of what we're going to do, beginning tonight, the parents. All right. My technician is helping me with one thing, but we're switching here to go to the PowerPoint presentation. So parents you will understand the different types of parenting styles, right? So you'll get to determine what style are you. You will understand the factors that influence your parental styles. And you will also understand the difference between discipline and punishment. A lot of people do not understand that there is a difference between discipline and punishment. And so, as we go through this exercise, as we go through this topic on parental styles, you will be able to understand the difference between punishment and discipline. Now, what are some of the negative influences? What are some of the negative influences our children face that could prevent them from achieving their goals? Your child will face some negative influences. And the intention is for you to understand as a parent what are some of those influences that could affect your child from achieving their goals in life. Okay? And so, it is the responsibility of parents to shield their children from negative influences. And this can be accomplished by a number of things. One, you can be encouraging. And Sister Jeffrey, you want to talk a little about how you as a parent was encouraging? How did you encourage our daughters?
When you say encouraging,
what are some of the things you did to get the children to believe that they can make it in life, to encourage them along? What kind of environment was created for that?
Oh, okay. Well, I know that one of the things we did is one of the things I tried to do as often as I could, is help them to focus on their reading. You know, a lot of children don't like reading. And as a young person, I enjoyed reading. Books from school, book from the library. I often would try to read books. You know, sometimes you get they catch you in class when you're supposed to be doing one thing, you're reading. So one of the things I did is I made sure I took the girls to the library. Even if I had to sit there with them during their reading, during the time that they were reading. Another thing that I did for them is I helped to encourage them. One of the things they learned to do is volunteering. So they went at the library, and they worked with different folks at the library to help, you know, to just give them that sort of, I'm trying to find a word, just help them to understand. Yes, you know,
okay.
Help them to understand that you got to be able to do something with, you know, a lot of times we want to be paid for everything we do. And so they needed to learn that some things you can volunteer to do. You can do this thing, and in volunteering, you are able to learn stuff. And they learned a lot. When you talk to those girls, they'll tell you a lot of stuff they learned is from working at the library with the librarian, you know, and they loved it because it gave them access to more books than just if they were taking books out of the library. So those were two of the ways. I mean, we had talks. You talk to them. I helped to encourage them through telling them, you know, that they can do it. No matter what was going on, you can do it. You just have to set your mind to it. And in setting your mind to it, you can accomplish it. So no matter what it was, you know, I tried to talk to them because I didn't have somebody to talk to me when I was growing up, to encourage me, to push me. So I tried to do that for the children, whether we sat and did it at home, whether we were at the park, or even while we were driving, taking them to school, bringing them back from school, taking them to the library, bringing them back home from the library. I remember at one point in time, I used to take them to a program. They had a homeschool program, and I would take them to this homeschool program and leave them there, and they would be able to do all the things that they needed to do. And it became in such a way that they were even able to join the library at the university where they were doing this homeschooling program. So we did it, you know, on our way to school, coming back from school, and I did it as much as I could.
So good. So that's being encouraging. A similar term to encouraging your children is also to be supportive of your children. So that's another one, okay? So you encourage your children and you support. And supporting is a big thing because, you know, your child has sports, or your child is inclined in different kinds of ways. Your child might not be inclined academically, or the child might be going through a phase where the child doesn't feel as though he or she is able to grapple with academic things. And so the child defaults to art or to the crafts, something with their hands. As a parent, you might think you want a doctor, or you want a lawyer, but you could be supportive of your child or your children, okay? Not because they're not reflecting what you think they should be reflecting. And some of us, we try to live our lives through our children, right? So we want our children to be what we were not, in the sense, in a negative way, right? This is not where you're looking, assessing the child and grooming the children to be the best that they could be, Some of us, we want it to be a particular thing, and so we drilling, we beating this in a negative way again into the child. So it is good as a parent to allow your child to, and that's the topic, right? You want to allow your child to achieve his or her goal. And another thing, in addition to being encouraging, is to being supportive. Let a child know that you are there, that they can talk to you, that you understand them. You know, support the child. If the child has to do a project, some of these children have projects at school that they have to do. You know, support them. Help them to put the project together, or find persons who you think can help them to put the project together, and support your children. Actively support the children. Okay? Another thing is to create structure. And we deal with parental styles, right? We're going to get into the nitty-gritty. You got to create structure for your children. Your children must know when to get to bed, when to get up, that they have chores to do. Celia and I we had a roster. You remember? We had a roster of which days who will do what. So we had a roster, and on Monday, this person has to vacuum, this person has to wash the dishes. You know, we had. You want to talk about it?
No, go ahead, no.
Right? We had a roster. Your children must have structure. Their lives must have structure. All right? So we have being encouraging, being supportive, and creating structure. The next thing we want to talk about is communicating with your children on a daily basis. Now, I put daily in there because I want parents to understand that children need to be communicated with. All right? Children need to be communicated with. You have to spend time talking to your children. You have to communicate with them. Celia and I have practiced this so well that there are certain things we do every day just to make sure that we are in touch with one another. How was your day? You know, what is bothering you? What you want to talk about? And we do that with the children too. So you need to communicate with your children every day. Find out how they're doing. How was the day? What did they do in school? Find something to talk to your children about. Go ahead.
I was thinking, now, I know when we're talking about communicating with the children and doing it daily. You might say, you know, but, you know, I go to work, I come home, I'm so tired. Come home, I have to get either supper ready or start preparing the things that have to be, you know, if I'm going to cook in the morning or whatever it may be. And you must be saying, you know, how do I do this? I'll tell you one of the things my mom did. My mom worked. The only day that my mom didn't work was on Sabbath. But she worked from Sunday to Friday. She got up in the morning. Yes, we had our devotion, and she was off to work. But one of the things Mommy used to do with us is that if she came home, there are a lot of times during the week, because of the time we had to get up, we went to bed early. So a lot of times when Mommy came home, we were sleeping. And one of the things Mommy used to do is she would wake us up. And she would ask, how was your day? Did you do your homework? She would try to talk to us as much as possible. As much as possible, you know, during that few minutes. It wasn't a lot, a few minutes. Other than that, if she got home in time, you know, she hustling, trying to get dinner ready, get things. One of the things she did is before we went to bed, she would talk to us, sit and talk to us, find out about your day, how your day went.
How many?
There were, let me see, Desmond, Elvis, There would have been four of us big at the age, teenagers, and then I had by that time Kelvin would have been what, a year, 2 years old, something like that. So there were four of us, but she tried. It wasn't for an hour or something or anything like that. It was just for a few minutes. But at least she got to find out whether you did your homework, what happened at school, during the day. I mean, sometimes it was at that time you said, "Mommy, I need to get we have a fair and we have to bring something." So those were the times. So I know when you think about it, you tell yourself you're busy. However, whatever time you can get in there, whatever time you can get in there to talk with the children, you do that.
Okay.
Whatever time.
All right, so let's take a call here. Hi, good evening.
Oh, good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening. Good evening.
Sabbath to you and your behalf, your wife.
Thank you.
Good evening.
I like the topic because, well, when I was younger, well, I'm a big man now, my mother taught me to do a lot of things, how to wash, how to cook, and everything. But, speaking about Ferguson Randall's father, well, my mother passed away right now.
Okay.
This Pinky, sister one, brother.
Okay.
So, yes, my mother passed away Thursday, so she buried next Wednesday.
Wow.
Okay,
no,
Mike, our condolences to you.
It touched me right now because, remember, you talk about parenthood, and she bring up in the right way. She taught us how to see the books of the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation.
Okay.
So that's a topic that's very good because all of us, my brothers, my sister, even though before she died, my brother used to help wash her clothes. So we have a good relationship from mother, son, brother, and sister, my wife. Because if she's sick, I have washed her clothes, do a lot of things for her. So you talk something there is very good. Keep up the program.
Thank you. Thank you so
thank
much. All right. So communicate with your children and communicate with them every day. And then the final one in the list, there are several things, but just these that we have highlighted here, is help your children in whatever way possible. Help your children in whatever way possible. And this, I'm just to piggyback on what Celia's saying, because Celia and I came from similar backgrounds in the sense that our parents were not academically, they did not have the academic wherewithal. All right? My mother didn't have passed maybe a primary school education. My father was not there, okay? And I remember that mom would try her best. Like Celia, mom worked most of the time. She was gone a lot, but mom tried her best. And so whatever way you can help the children, whatever way you can help your children, you want to help your children in whatever way possible, right?
Before you continue, one of the things Mommy did too, as I told you, Mommy worked, and Mommy was very busy. However, I remember moonlight nights. Whenever you see, we had a moonlight, those were times where Mommy would talk stories, old-time stories about her father, about her mother, about her sisters, about going-ons in the community. My mom is from Dominica, so they spoke what they call at the time patois or Creole, and those were the times Mommy would take to teach us some phrases, some sentences in what they had called it at the time patois. Another thing she did whenever they had a picnic, I mean, this is one of the things Mommy didn't have time during the week to do a lot of things with us. But whenever you see she got an opportunity to be with us, she did so. So if the church had an excursion, we were there. The church had a picnic, the church had an outing, whatever it is the church had, Mommy made sure that she was there with us. And it was those times that we got to spend a lot of time with my mom. We got to hear a lot of stories, got to hear about her childhood.
What did your mom, what work did your mom do?
My mom was actually a housekeeper.
Domestic?
Yes, housekeeper.
Same thing with my mom.
Babysitter. That's what mommy did. But and she did that, from Sunday to Friday. And so she was really, really busy. But however, as I said, mommy, whatever time mommy could get, mommy, I remember taking us by the airport on Sunday afternoons when she came from work. I mean, there's no big thing to see in a plane land and go off, but that was an enjoyment for us. And because she knew that was an enjoyment, she took the time out. I mean, she could have been home doing laundry, doing something, but however, she took the time to spend that time with us.
So spend time with your children. Spend as much time as you can with them. Help them in whatever way possible. Support them. Encourage them. Okay? Now, let's look now at we've broken up the parental styles into four basic parental styles. And the first we want to talk about tonight is the authoritarian parental style. Okay? And this style is based on the idea that children should obey their parents without question. Right? The authoritarian, and not authoritative, we will explain the difference to you in a minute. The authoritarian style says children should obey their parents without question. And it is what they call a high love, high limits approach. All right? Okay, so don't ask no question. You don't ask me no. I am the parent in this house, and what I say goes. And you're gonna follow my rules. You're not gonna question anything I say. You're not gonna challenge anything I say. How they used to say, children should be seen and not heard. And so that's an approach to parenting. Some people parent with that style, authoritarian style.
Somebody once said to me, I drive the fear of God in them.
In the children?
Yeah, I drive the fear of God in those children. And I always wondered, she never told me what it meant. But that was her way to say, these children are sharp, these children are...
And in this style of parenting, it doesn't mean that you hate the child. Okay? You as an authoritarian parent, you love the child. It's just that you believe that the child doesn't have an option. The parent, you've been around the block, you know what you know, and the child doesn't have an option. The child doesn't have any room to second guess you. You know what's right. And for the child to even suggest that there's an alternative to what you're telling them is a big no-no. All right? So it's high love, high limits. And so that is the authoritarian. The next parental style is the democratic. And in this style, the children have more input into the rules and the limits, right? The democratic style. We're going to break it down some more. This is just an overview, right? The children, in this democratic style, the children can challenge the parents.
So
right?
I'm not doing it.
And so on. Well, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into it. This is all right? And then we have the permissive or the indulgent. Permissive or the indulgent. Parents give their children a wide range of freedom, right? Permissive, indulgent. The children can, they're free to roam. And then the final one, just for the discussion, is the uninvolved, right? The uninvolved parent demonstrate low love and low limits. There's a crossover between the indulgent and the uninvolved. But the uninvolved is where you're really not into your children, what they're doing, what they're smoking, what they're drinking. You love them. However, there's no limit. You don't provide any limits to what they do, right? Okay, good. So let's go a little more. Let's go a little further. And you can call in. You can call in and you can talk to us. You can challenge us. You can make suggestions. You can ask questions, right? Now, what determines your parenting style? What determines what kind of a parent you are? One is how we were raised. How we were raised influences how we treat our children. How we were raised. What was the environment under which we were raised? And a lot of times, that is what determines what kind of parent we are. All right? How we were raised. The other thing is our ethnic background. Our ethnic background plays a role in how we raise our children. And so, if you are Caucasian, there are certain things that you do, and we all know that. If you are Afro-Guyanese, Afro-American, Afro-Bajan, Afro whoever, if you are colloquially called black, you know, that determines, and of course, if you're Indian, it helps. Let's take a call. Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening, sir.
Good evening,
and
good evening,
Hi.
good evening.
I'm so proud of you guys having a program like this. This is the first time I'm watching it. And
Thank you.
you know, I wish everyone in the country could be looking at this program right now, because these guidelines will be really helpful, not only to the children but the family as a whole.
Okay.
And you know, the problem is that today's society, the modern generation, is that they would be running the TV channels, right? And the problem is that I can guarantee most of the youngsters today, and even some of the parents, when they see this program, they will probably just skip the channel and go to some other form of entertainment. And that is the problem right there. So even though you're doing such a good job, right? There's other influences, like other entertainment, that I think other people would prefer, and they're robbing themselves of knowledge.
Let me say something to you. You sound like as a you sound young. How old are you?
I'm only 30.
Good. You're 30 years old. You have children?
No, not as yet.
You married as yet?
No, no.
Okay, good. Let me tell you what happens to me. And this is Wendell Jeffrey here. I have not run this by my wife, and so I'm not saying that she represents what I'm going to tell you now.
Yes.
You said that there are folks who would look at what is happening and they would flip the channel, right?
Yes.
And you were talking to people who were about people who were parents, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the suggestion is, rather than they as parents find ways to educate themselves, they would rather flip and go to some other game show or some other thing, right?
Right, right.
So what kind of children you think they're likely to bring up?
I think those children are likely to be maybe a little bit on the wayward side.
Okay, good. Now, you as a young man, intending, I hope, to have children and to raise them and so on, as well as those people who find this program interesting, they are more likely to bring up better equipped children.
Yeah, most likely,
Okay.
yeah. With
All right.
our knowledge and stuff.
All right. You have to go and stop that. We have that thing playing back there. All right. So, the point I want to make is, in the scope of things, I am not too worried about.
Doesn't feed the program.
No, I'm trying to see if I can put this in a nice way.
Yeah.
If you prepare yourself for what is coming, all right? If you prepare yourself for what is eventually going to happen, you're better able to handle what will come. And so I am not too concerned.
If I could just...
Wait, I want to finish this thought.
Yeah, yeah.
So stay with me. If a parent don't want to position their children for greatness, somebody like you or somebody who's watching this program will position their children for greatness.
Right.
And those children will go on to benefit better than the other children whose parents are not preparing them for greatness. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, correct.
So that is, and let me be a little more crass. The world needs all of us in order for the world to spin around.
Yeah.
Right.
All right? And just by default, you're going to have people who have not been sufficiently trained to do what other persons are trained to do. And it means that you have got to position yourself for greatness.
Yeah.
And if persons don't want to do that, then you benefit by their lack of interest. No, go ahead.
I got you, yeah. It's just that, I wish that the people that really need, this kind of help would actually look and listen and, pay more attention to programs like this and actually learn something rather than wasting time, doing other stuff that's not going to benefit them in any way. I don't know what's the situation with how you run your programs, but I think it would be helpful if you can have this program replayed,
Yeah, well,
possible.
the program is recorded and then it's replayed. It's going to be replayed tomorrow, and you can also go on our website to see it.
Yeah, so whoever missed out, at least they could see it
you
back,
can see it, and you can, if you have anybody to share it with on the our Safe TV channel, you can find it and you can replay it. Okay.
Yeah, all right, thanks for that.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
good night.
much.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
you.
Right? So I understand what the call is saying, and I'm trying to be. I don't want to be too hard and too negative.
Yeah.
But you will.
The thing is,
You if you're not positioning your children and the storm that you're preaching to the choir, because if you're not positioning your children for greatness, then your children becomes a burden to you. We dealt with that last week. Your children become a burden to you, and they can't excel. You who are watching, you're ahead of the game, because you're saying, what can I learn in order to help my children to be better in this life? And that's the intention, and that's what we said. A parent role is to make children who function better than them.
yeah,
So we're going back to what governs you now.
yeah.
All right?
We finished with the ethnic.
I thought you wanted to say something, right? Our ethnic background plays a part. Okay? What else? Also, family structure. The family structure plays a part, a role in how we parent. Okay?
So that's whether
what
you're-
kind of family you came up in.
Single mom, whether you're single and working mom, whether you were raised by your grandparents, your auntie, your uncle, your cousins, probably even in foster homes, in foster home, it all depends on, what your family structure was.
Correct. Were you raised in tongue?
Yes, I guess so.
Were you raised?
Your geographical.
Correct. Were you raised in town? Were you raised in the country? What part? What that helps to govern the kind of your parenting style. Also, how old were you
As a parent.
when you got the child or you got your children? Your age. Your age also plays a role in affecting your parenting style. And then all parenting style, okay, must incorporate both love and limits. All right? All your parenting style must incorporate both love and it must incorporate limit. Now, again, what does the parenting style come from? Cultural norms.
Everybody does it.
So let's talk about this for a minute here. Your cultural norms. You say everybody does this. We were raised in Lane Avenue, ghettos, across from All Boys Town. And the behavior, for the most part, in the projects or the ghettos, depending on where you're listening and how you can identify, is it's kind of like groupthink. So everybody does it, and so it's almost a copycat kind of behavior. The cultural norms of the day, what is happening in your neck of the woods, and that's how your parenting style, for a lot of on a number of occasions, or for the most part, that is how your parenting style is developed by the cultural norms. What is happening in your neck of the woods? All right. How does everybody speak to their children? And that's how you speak to your children. How does everybody treat their children? And that's how you treat your children. So that determines the norms, the cultural norms. The way your parents,
Oh, wow. The way you were
the way you were parented has a lot to do. And we talked about that.
Wow.
My mother used to beat, my father used to beat, so I beat him. My mother and father used to starve us when we did not do what we were supposed to do, so I starved my children. My mother and my father did not abuse us, so I don't abuse. You see? So people parent based on how they themselves were parented. All right? The other thing is the extremes, and I want to talk a little about this here, because this is what happened to me. Because my father wasn't around, because my father was absent, I knew as a young man that I suffered because my father was not around. And I vowed, as a young man, I was married when I was 21, but I vowed long before then that I would never subject my children to what my father subjected me to. I did not know if I was going to get boys or girls. I just knew that I was not going to subject my children to what my father subjected me to. And if I might say this, I'm very, very disappointed in fathers who are deadbeats. Fathers, they got men who have children they know